Everything look good on your side?
Yep, we can see your screen. So we'll give everybody a few more minutes to get joined, and then I will introduce you at the top of the hour.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. After the presentation, we will send out the slides and recording of the webinar to you all. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, please put them in the chat box and we will answer them at the end. Thank you to the Hardy team for joining us today. I would like to introduce Jessa Youngblood, the Food and Beverage Microbiology Portfolio Manager for Hardy Diagnostics. She has worked with many food, beverage, and cannabis facilities on regulatory compliance and environmental monitoring programs. An educator in the field of pathogen detection and product safety, you are sure to learn about new ways to protect your production environment and maintain the highest level of quality and safety. Jessa, please take it away.
Thank you so much for that introduction. Again, my name is Jessa Youngblood, and I did want to introduce myself to all of you as well as some of the rest of our Hardy team. So one of the Hardy diplomats that you will be working with on a regular basis is Ms. Sarah Hilton. Sarah is our representative in the Kansas City area. She covers that region of the U.S., but she is also a key player when it comes to the relationship between Midland and Hardy Diagnostics. So if you have any questions or need any kind of support in the field, Sarah is definitely going to be the perfect person for you to reach out to. I think Sarah is going to go ahead and jump on in just a moment and introduce herself as well. Sarah is a microbiologist. She comes to us through the Cal Poly University system and worked in our technical support department for a couple of years before moving on to help our customers in the field. So we're very, very happy to have Sarah on our team. She's a wealth of information and knowledge when it comes to microbiology. So I'm sure she'll join us in a moment and say hi. In the meantime, I will tell you a little bit more about Hardy Diagnostics. Here at Hardy, we are celebrating over 40 years of exceptional quality and service. This is a picture of our R&D lab and some of our technicians who are working in that lab. Here at Hardy, we do manufacture all of the microbiology materials that you might interact with or purchase. We also distribute some of the products, but when it comes to the core agar medias and culture media solutions, those are designed, developed, and manufactured on site. We do have 2 facilities here in the U.S., manufacturing facilities, one on the West Coast in California and one on the East Coast in Ohio, as well as a full chain of fulfillment centers across the U.S. So you're never more than a day away from a Hardy solution. So I see Sarah's jumped on, so I'm going to give her just a moment to say hi and tell you a little bit about herself.
So hi, everyone. I apologize in advance if I've got some background noise. I'm actually sitting next to a highway, so I do apologize for that in advance. But my name is Sarah Hilton, and I am the account manager for Midland Scientific as a whole. I'm based out of Kansas City, Missouri, so not too far away from kind of their central hub there in Omaha. So for pretty much any pricing across the board, you would want to speak to me and your Midland rep. I'm sure many of you on here might recognize me already, hopefully. But yeah, that's about me. So feel free to contact me anytime.
Thanks so much, Sarah. So a little bit more about Hardy. We are an employee-owned company, so all of us actually have a vested interest in not only the quality of the products we're making, but the service that you're receiving, since we are all owners here. So we're very proud of our facilities and what it is that we can bring when it comes to supporting a microbiology program in almost any scenario. Today, we're going to focus, however, on Listeria, specifically in food processing facilities, as well as any kind of food testing program. So Listeria, it's no secret that food processors are battling with Listeria. The number of reported incidents and recalls related to Listeria is always on the rise, and processors are making efforts to rid their facilities of harborage organisms. In the U.S., these concerns for food safety, as well as new regulations and guidelines, particularly from the FDA, have processors reevaluating their testing programs and especially their environmental monitoring programs. So today we're going to talk about microbiology from both perspectives, from the finished goods testing or the screening of your food products, all the way through to the environmental monitoring program inside the facility. It's clear to us at Hardy that testing for Listeria is of great importance to our food partners and also important to the overall health and safety of the general public. With this in mind, we want to be sure to present helpful tools to you in the fight against this pathogen. So as you're working with your environmental monitoring program, with the FDA regulations, if there are products that you think may be helpful to you that you don't have access to or would like to see Hardy develop, again, we are a method developer and a manufacturing center, and we're very interested in making sure that we have the best possible products out there for safety and compliance. So we're going to focus a little bit on some of the agar media that we have. Hardy Diagnostics produces a fantastic line of chromogenic media. Chromogenic media is selective and differential, so it does select the particular organism that you're looking for, in this case, Listeria monocytogenes. And it's also differential in that it suppresses other organisms. We get beautiful color reactions from our organisms that we're trying to ID. So with a plate like this, it makes it very easy for you to isolate and identify L mono. The Hardy Chrome plate line includes a lot of different pathogens, but again, we're focusing on Listeria today, so I wanted to make sure that you knew we had this product available. Not only do we have the chromogenic agars, but we do have all of the traditional media agars and enrichment broths. So depending on which culture approach you're taking when it comes to the isolation of Listeria, we're sure to have an agar media that's appropriate for your program. We also have a line of products that are dehydrated media plates. We find these are excellent solutions for a lot of different users. These are appropriate for both finished goods testing and for environmental monitoring. These little cassettes have a membrane on them that is coated in a dry media product. And this membrane is very shelf stable. It has a long shelf life of 18 to 24 months in most plate formats. And it won't activate until you hydrate this. So with this particular media, you're going to prepare your primary dilution. That's going to be in a Butterfield's buffer most often, although other dilutions are appropriate as well. And from there, you'll directly inoculate this plate. This plate gives both a chromogenic and a numerated count. So it's really excellent for Listeria species. We are in development with a El Mono plate in this particular product line as well. So whether you're looking for a species test or something a little more organism specific, we will have that available for you in this type of format. We also really like these particular plates because they're very easy to label. This gives you a bit of a broader overview of the total product line. So not only is this available in that Listeria format, but in a whole host of plate types that are appropriate for food and beverage testing. We've just launched the Pseudomonas aeruginosa plate type here, and then we have a total count rapid that is AOAC approved and will be available within the next 6 weeks. In order to use these plates, it really is just a few simple steps. You're going to remove the lid from the plate. You're going to inoculate with that 1 ml of prepared sample. This is going to automatically diffuse over the surface of the plate. So you're not doing any stamping, spreading, streaking. If you're using other dehydrated plate methods, you're going to find this to be an extremely simplified and efficient workflow. At that point, you're going to turn the plate over and then incubate. You can see from the table to the right the incubation times and temperatures. So most of these plates are ready in 24 to 48 hours. We also have a plate reader designed exclusively for this dehydrated plate line. This is the Wizard Compact Dry Plate Reader. It reads plates in 2 to 3 seconds. It records both a raw image of the plate as well as a red image of the plate. So you will be able to record the plate as it is from a traditional visual inspection, as well as the plate with the marks. This reader also differentiates. So on plates where you have 2 different chromogenic reactions, depending on the organism that you're looking for, it will differentiate between those chromogens. So you will be able, it is able to detect coliforms from E. coli. It also gives you the total count on the plate. It is stores all of the data in a traditional CSV file, which can be automatically uploaded into your LIMS system, or it can be transferred over to any type of PC. So most often when we're talking to people about Listeria products, we are talking about environmental monitoring solutions. And here at Hardy, we have a few different ways to approach environmental monitoring that we think are extremely efficient and helpful for our food processors. One of the products that we have for Listeria that we're extremely excited about is the Pathfinder Listeria product line. This is an environmental swab, and the thing that really makes this different is this is a confirmatory broth for environmental Listeria species. So what do I mean by that? This broth actually has a fluorescent reaction, and you can see that illustration on the side where we've got that bit of a green glow. So when you've swabbed your surfaces and, inoculated this broth with your swab, you're going to get a color reaction, and on top of that, you're going to get a fluorescent reaction. Most of you, I'm sure, already know that with mini Listeria swabs, there can be a esculin reaction that has to do with the cross-reactivity from Enterococcus. So with this particular broth, you get a secondary confirmation step with that fluorescence. And when it fluoresces, that is a confirmed Listeria species test. So it really does allow you to have an extra step of confidence when it comes to corrective action and remediation inside the facility. Instead of waiting again for any kind of genetic result before you know if this was in fact Listeria species or just some cross-reactivity situation, you will have that fluorescence as a confirmation. So this broth is used with this particular sampling sponge. You take the tube of broth, you take your swab, you swab your environment, and then you take that tube of Listeria broth, add that to this swab tube and incubate. This swab tube will be your last step in the workflow, and you will get both the esculin reaction and the fluorescence happening within this swab. We think it's really exciting, it's really efficient, going to help a lot of facilities streamline their current workflow, as well as give you extra confidence when it comes to environmental surface sampling for Listeria. This is pending AOAC right now, and we expect AOAC approval within the next couple of months. That said, we already are using this in facilities and selling this to some of our food partners. So if this is something you'd like to bring in and try out while we're working through the last stages of our AOAC PTM approval, please let us know and we'd be happy to get you some samples or set you up on a regular ordering cycle. We also, of course, offer a full suite of environmental monitoring supplies when it comes to ATP. Our signature product for this is the Ensure Touch. The Ensure Touch is a handheld luminometer. We think it's fantastic. It's extremely advanced. If you've done any kind of ATP monitoring in the past, this really takes it to the next level. This luminometer not only reads your traditional ATP swabs, but this one is also compatible with microsnap or pathogen-specific swab tests. So it is extremely user-friendly. You set your pass-fail thresholds into this device. And once you do your swabbing and you put that swab into the testing device, you will get your results in about 10 to 15 seconds. And it will let you know whether you're a pass-fail. If you have a fail, you immediately implement your corrective action, and then you will, again, immediately re-swab. You can document that pass right after you do your corrective action. Oftentimes, people are concerned about fails when it comes to ATP monitoring and surface monitoring. But what we hear time and time again is that the auditors aren't necessarily afraid of you documenting fails. What they're really looking for is that you have a corrective action to implement. So a fail that is immediately followed up with a corrective action and then a passing test is considered a very strong environmental monitoring program to most of your auditing bodies. So we always encourage people not to shy away from having a very robust environmental monitoring program. When you find those areas that need a reclean, all you've really done is proven that you are doing a very efficient and detailed inspection of your facility, and you're making every effort to make sure the product coming through is safe. So this device really makes it simple for all of your technicians, people in your EMP, to quickly, easily, and frequently test those surfaces for cleanliness. These swabs are very simple to use. It really is as easy as swabbing, snapping, and squeezing the reagent down into the bottom of the swab. So whether you have a team that has been doing this a long time, or maybe they're newer to surface sampling, this type of device and system is extremely easy to onboard. The training time is very quick and it's accurate. Not a lot of opportunity for, contamination or user failure. This is the Insight Rapid Environmental Listeria Test. This is another swab by Hygiena. This one does not go into the luminometer. This one is incubated for 24 hours, but it is a very excellent tool in the toolbox for your environmental monitoring program when it comes to swabbing for Listeria. This one is more traditional in that you do get that esculin reaction, but you will need to have some follow-up ID done in order to confirm. But again, this is a very simple to use, very straightforward type of surface sampling test and popular in a lot of, especially small and medium throughput facilities. We also have our traditional environmental transport swab for those who already have an SOP in place that includes using something like a neutralizing buffered swab for their environmental monitoring program. We, of course, have a full suite of materials that will support that approach as well. This type of swabbing is pretty similar to most other kinds of surface swabbing. You're going to collect your sample. This becomes a transport swab vial. You'll safely transport that sample to the lab, and then you'll cultivate your specimen. With this type of approach, you can use traditional agar, and you can also use the compact dry dehydrated media product line that we talked about earlier. So in that instance, you would simply draw 1 ml directly from your swab tube and inoculate your plate from there. So again, depending on the environment you're working in and the needs that you have, this can be a really excellent option for you, especially if you want to screen for several different pathogen types at the same time. Having this primary sample collected in this tube can make it very simple for you to inoculate several different compact dry or agar plates from there. I feel that we would be remiss if we didn't bring up air sampling. So more and more of our food processing facilities are facing the reality of needing to perform air sampling. In Hardy's catalog, we do have a number of excellent air sampling options. Our most common air sampling tool in the food and beverage environment is this Duo instrument you see here. There's 2 versions of it. We've got the Air Bio Duo, which is simply a bench stable air sampler, and then the handheld portable on the right side Duo. And that one's easy for carrying from location to location. We always recommend the Duos for these facilities because with the Duo, you're able to collect both a general growth bacteria and a yeast mold plate at the same time. Makes air sampling extremely efficient for those environments that need to be able to test for both types of pathogens or contamination at the same time. Most of these units run between 1 to 200 liters per minute. In the food processing environment, usually we're doing a lower volume of air collection. So the 100 liter per minute air sampling unit is usually perfect. Oftentimes within food facilities, we're sampling somewhere between 150 to 250 liters of air. So with a 100 liter per minute unit, you're looking at being able to perform that collection in just about 1 to 2 minutes. We often get asked about what media types should be used for environmental monitoring. We talked a little bit about it, but these plate types are all appropriate for environmental monitoring. The traditional 100 millimeter Petri plate, the compact dry dehydrated media plate, as well as our 60 millimeter contact or surface sampling plate. You are able to use these plates in a number of different ways, whether with the swabs that we talked about earlier or with the impact air samplers. Those air samplers can be configured to house all of these different media types. We think that's an important thing to keep in mind because a lot of times with air samplers, you may end up buying a piece of equipment that requires proprietary or specialty media. One of the things that we think is great about the Trio Boss line of air samplers is that you can really use any media type. So you're not tied to a certain product line in order to be able to perform your testing. So if you're already doing any kind of finished goods testing with a compact dry plate, it becomes efficient to also include that in your environmental monitoring program as well. So you're not alone in this fight against Listeria. Here at Hardy, we've got a team of expert sales reps. We have industry and regulatory compliance specialists. We have a team of microbiologists that are at the ready to answer your questions. And then, of course, we're also able to create custom products. So at any point, if you need any kind of support, you've got Midland on your side, you've got Hardy on your side, and we're always more than happy to help you understand what you need to implement in order to achieve regulatory compliance, as well as the product lines that Hardy may already have to help support what you're trying to do. So thank you very much for your time and attention, and I'd love to open up to any questions and answers.
Thank you, Jessa. I did have a question come through the chat box. The question was, as environmental monitoring requirements increase for facilities, will Hardy be developing new materials for screenings?
Absolutely. Obviously, we're already working on products like the Pathfinder Listeria product line, which we think is revolutionary and important when it comes to the fight against Listeria. And we're constantly working on new ways to make all of this easier for all of our partners, whether they're in food, beverage, cannabis, clinical, whatever industry you're working in. Again, if there is a product that you are thinking about that you don't have access to or you think could use an improvement, you can always let us know, because that's what we're in the business of doing, is making products that are effective and make your life easier. And I just saw that we had these poll questions pop up, and I really appreciate that. Any opportunity you have to let us know a little bit more about how you're handling screening for Listeria in your finished goods or in your facilities is extremely helpful, and we really appreciate the feedback.
Great, thank you. If there aren't any more questions, we will be sending out the slides and the recording, like I said, to everyone who registered. And thank you all for joining, and thank you for answering the poll questions as well. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you all.